Hello. Welcome to Meditation Breaks. On this channel, we learn how to meditate and we learn about different things that we can do with meditation. My name is Keith. I am your meditation instructor here on this channel. First and foremost, thank you everyone for being so understanding and patient with me. I'm referring to I had to kind of cancel last minute last week. I've talked about this on the channel a lot. I have a kind of like chronic ailment that pops up from time to time with pretty unpredictable nature. So I appreciate you guys being so understanding. Hey, Beverly. So the class that we were going to do last week, we're going to do this week. So the way that this works, if you're brand new here, maybe it's your first time coming to this channel, first time meditating, even, I don't even know what that word means. We are going to start, thank you guys, I appreciate it. We are going to start by introducing meditation 101, right? So even if this is your absolute first time, do not worry. I know like sometimes people, because we're very topic oriented here, sometimes people are like, whoa, I can't like think about meditation on these topics. I have to learn how to do it first, right? Christine, first time, amazing. So this is a great, every class that we do here, I always start with this introduction because I want everyone to kind of get a baseline about how we meditate, etc. Right? Thanks, Rob. So that's how we'll start, and we'll do a little discussion. Why bother meditating? What is it? How do we do it? And then we'll do a little meditation together. It'll be very short. You're not going to be sitting there for hours or anything like that. It'll be quick, just to kind of get everyone's feet wet. And then we're going to talk about our topic. And our topic today is something I think it's interesting. It's something I've been thinking about. And so hopefully, oh, Lisa, thank you. That's so kind. I hope you have a good experience. We're going to talk about what it means to know something. It's kind of an interesting thing. I don't know. I've been thinking about it, right? So that's what we'll do our topic on later. All right. If you have any questions, I say something, it doesn't make sense, you have a thought, etc., feel free to use the chat. You can see people using it already. That's the best way to get your question answered. If you do not want to do that, or you think of something after the class ends, like I usually do, you can email me. I'll give my email out towards the end of today's class. Cool? Okay. So what is this meditation thing? We've heard of it. It's everywhere now, which is awesome, right? Like it's definitely become more, I don't know what the right word is. Like, I don't want to say like taboo or something, but like, it's like not, it's kind of everywhere, right? Mindfulness, meditation, these words we're hearing constantly. And when we think about the word meditation, our mind does a very special thing that our mind does. It creates a sort of like generic image. Like if I would just say, think of an apple, your mind is like kind of conjuring an image of an apple. It's so fast that you don't even really notice, right? But this can be like referred to as a generic image. So when we think about meditation, our generic image of it is what? Pretty much everyone's like somebody sitting on the floor. If you Googled meditation, you'd see countless pictures, thousands upon thousands of pictures of somebody sitting on a very nicely polished wood floor, shiniest wood floor you ever did see. And they have their eyes closed, maybe their hands are like this or something, and they are looking pretty peaceful. That's our generic image of meditation. This is a way to meditate, but it's really just like a seating position, right? You do not need to sit cross-legged on the floor with your hands like this to meditate. Meditation is not a seating position. So a definition that I will put forth, and hopefully it resonates, is meditation. Think of it as a technique that you can use to become really, really familiar with something. And that might sound weird because we don't really think about familiarizing our mind. It's not a phrase that we use, but your mind is constantly familiarizing itself with things, right? From the moment you were born up until now, your mind has become super familiar with like an astronomical amount of things, right? If we think back to when we were a little kid and someone is like, hey, we're going to learn how to tie a shoe. And you're like, huh? When we were born, we didn't even know what a shoe was or the concept of tying. But then now we know what a shoe is. And somebody says, you got to tie your shoe. And you're like, what? And they go, watch. It's take this singular string and turn it into a very aesthetically pleasing bow that is supportive of your foot. And you try it, and it doesn't look like that, right? The first time you tied your shoe, unless you're like a shoe tying prodigy, it probably didn't really work that well at all. Maybe you made a knot. Ugh, so annoying. So this thing, this activity, this mechanic of tying your shoe, it used to be something totally unfamiliar. And as a result, it took an immense amount of concentration and practice. But a little bit of practice, over time has led you to what? Now you are an expert shoe tire. You are the best shoe tire on the planet, probably, right? You can tie your shoe anywhere. You could probably do it upside down if you were in that. I don't know why you'd be needing to do that, but I'm sure you could. The point is, tying your shoe has become so familiar to you that what has happened, it doesn't take as much concentration, as much effort to happen, right? It just kind of flows. You don't have to think about it as much. It's like second nature, I guess you could say, right? So this is an example of what the output of familiarity is. And even though we're talking about tying shoes, the output of familiarity is the same no matter what you're doing. Learning a new language, learning how to walk, like everything that you do is based in familiarity. Right? And meditation is a really, really great way to hone these familiarity skills, right? So let's think about something like relaxing. It's probably the biggest entry point into meditation. You're probably, maybe many of you are here for that. Does meditation relax you? Well, you're probably like, well, I hope so. That's why I'm here. And the answer is sort of. Meditation, like a byproduct of it is relaxation, but really meditation itself is not relaxing you. What meditation is doing is teaching you to become really familiar with relaxed you. There is that version of you. It's in there. I know we wish it would come up more often. That is very relaxed, cool, calm, collective, happy, all that great stuff. That is in you. If we're honest with ourselves, we have plenty of times where that has surfaced. And so meditation is teaching us to become so familiar with that what happens? Same thing as tying your shoe, it starts to show up with less effort. Peacefulness, being relaxed, calm, it starts to be kind of your default. And this isn't like some special trick. Is just this is how our mind works. The more familiar our mind is with something, the more it gravitates to it. And so if we start to intentionally train our mind to become familiar with the things we want to become familiar with, well, then that's where we can start to see some really awesome changes from meditation, right? Wouldn't it be great to be so familiar with being patient that it just kind of happened, as opposed to now where you have to be like, oh, I need a second. right? It's possible. That's the beauty of, it's our superpower as being humans, is we can train our mind to become familiar with anything we want. Cool? All right. Sounds great. Little elevator pitch, long elevator ride. How do we do this thing, right? So when we start learning meditation, often you start with breathing meditation. And all that is a meditation where the focal point is your breath. So every meditation has a focal point, sometimes called object of your meditation. And the idea is that you are going to choose to focus on this thing, like intentionally choose to focus on this thing, in this case, our breath. And we're going to focus on it so exclusively that all the other things that our mind is normally thinking about, oh, I got to do this for work tomorrow. Oh, I have this event coming up. Oh, I forgot to respond to blah, blah, blah. All those things are going to start to fade a little bit into the background. Right? Sometimes, maybe you've experienced something like this unintentionally. You know, you're working on something diligently at work. You lose track of time. All those like annoying noises you don't hear. You know, your knee stops hurting. Those things are still there. You know, it's not like they've gone away. It's just that your mind, there's no room for it to think about those things because it's so focused on one thing. So focusing on one thing is probably the best definition of what the technique of meditation is. And sometimes it's called single-pointed concentration. Single-pointedly concentrating on something. Anything. Doesn't matter. Can be your breath, can be pain in your arm, can be a situation that happened, can be anything. Right? Okay, so we're going to do some breathing meditation here together now. And instructionally, it's pretty straightforward. There are 3 steps. The first step is that we're going to choose to do this. I know it sounds silly. You're like, Keith, I'm here. I've chosen. I know. And when I first started doing this a long time ago, I was like, this is a dumb step. I'm not doing this. That's what I said. But this is a really important step because, like I said before, we have moments where we have kind of an unintentional meditative experience, and that's awesome, right? But what we're trying to do is train our mind to realize, hey, you can do this when you want, right? That's our goal, to start to develop choice over what our mind is thinking about. So the first step of that is choosing. We have to choose. And so we're going to choose to focus single-pointedly on our breath. That's it. You just say that to yourself, kind of set a little promise for yourself, even if you don't believe it. You just do it to the best of your ability. That's what we're going to do. That's step 1. Step 2 is we're going to start doing that. And I'm going to be leading, so you're not going to be on your own in silence or whatever. We're going to focus on our breath. And whenever you notice that your attention drifts a bit, and by that, I mean anything. Oh, I have this itch. You scratch it, right? That's your mind drifting a bit from being single-pointedly concentrated on your own breath. Thinking about something you have to do for work tomorrow. Thinking about something that happened earlier. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The point of what we're doing here is not to never get distracted, to never have those things come up. Those things will come up. The idea is to start to notice when they arise early on so we can diligently bring our attention back, right? And that's the third step, bringing our attention back. So step 1, we choose to focus single-pointedly on our breath. 2, we notice when our attention drifts from our breath. And 3, we bring our attention back. And we're just going to do this in a little loop over and over again. And as this becomes more familiar to you, becomes normalized, right? You'll find it easier to kind of settle it, right? Do not get discouraged if you're like, man, my mind is jumping all over the place. Oh, I got distracted. Of course you're going to get distracted. You're asking your mind to do something new, Just like when we learned how to tie our shoe, it was not the easiest thing at first, but it doesn't mean we can't do it. All right. Hey, Zach. Okay. So we're going to do some breathing meditation now. You'll notice I am not sitting on the floor. I am in an office chair of medium comfort, I would say. And you too can be in an office chair of medium comfort or high comfort. You can be in a hammock, lay down. I don't care. It doesn't matter. The beauty of meditation is there is no, like, if meditation required you to sit on the floor, well, that would kind of suck because then, you get on in yours and it's not that easy. So the great news, doesn't matter. Sit wherever you want. Make sure you're comfortable. And go ahead and close your eyes. I'm going to guide us through about a 5-minute breathing meditation. Okay. Whenever you start a meditation, take a moment and check in with yourself. Actually ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? What is my mind up to? Maybe you're feeling tired. It's the end of the day. Maybe you're feeling energetic. It's the beginning of the day. Maybe you're feeling happy. Maybe you're feeling a little melancholy. Whatever it is perfectly fine. We are not doing anything about this. We are just noticing. This is a technique called mindfulness, and it is a big part of meditation. Mindfulness is an active awareness of your own thoughts, moment to moment, for the purpose of being able to respond skillfully to those thoughts. And that starts with checking in. Having done that, you can now set an intention, a promise to yourself. And that promise is to focus single-pointedly on your own breath to the best of your ability for the next couple of minutes. Set that intention. Let it sit in your mind. Let it settle. And then turn your full, undivided attention to your own breath. Breathing in, breathing out, gently, naturally. You don't need to change anything about how you breathe normally here. Whatever comes natural is perfect. In and out, gently, naturally. At some point, sometimes rather quickly, you may notice that your attention is no longer exclusively on your breath. It's splitting time. Maybe you're thinking about what you're going to eat later after this class ends, or something you have to do tomorrow. Whenever your mind starts to drift in this way, we can just say, not right now, to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. Imagine yourself placing those thoughts beside you. And with those thoughts sitting right beside you, turn your attention back to breathing. In, out, gently, naturally. Single pointedly focus on your breath. What does that mean? How granular can you get? Can you follow the entire journey the air makes moment to moment as you breathe? When you breathe in, can you watch as the air enters your body from the atmosphere? Can you feel it traveling to your lungs? Feel your lungs expand to make room. Feel your body energize with this breath. And what about when you breathe out? Can you follow the air? Can you feel your lungs contract? Your shoulders fall. Can you watch as the air leaves your body? Just watch it as it mixes back into the atmosphere, dissipating entirely. All these subtleties, they're happening constantly when we breathe. But we never really stop to notice them. Such a beautiful moment that you shared with that pocket of air. Breathing in, breathing out, very gently and very naturally. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath as many times as you need to. The goal here is not to never get distracted, but just to notice when you are, so you can do something about it. That is meditation. You are meditating right now. You are training your mind to tap into its natural peacefulness. You are training your mind to focus on what you want to focus on. And right now, the only thing that you want to focus on is breathing in and breathing out gently, naturally. Just for the last few moments here, just enjoy sitting here breathing. No need to think about anything else. Just take a little time for yourself. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. Oh, my foot fell asleep. Hello, Mom. Joan is my mother. Glad you're here. So that was breathing meditation. And if this was your first time, one of two things probably happened. First, you're like, oh, that's not so bad. Right? Second, you're like, whoa, my mind is all over the place. Right? And this is an extremely common experience. In fact, it's kind of uncommon for it to not be that, because your mind is used to juggling a bunch of bowling pins all day long. And so when we ask it to not do that, sometimes our mind puts up a little bit of a fight, right? It's like, hey, what are you doing? I focus on lots of things, right? I don't need to focus on one thing. I am well versed in focusing on a lot of things. So our mind just doesn't really know that this is cool, that this is helpful. So it's just like anything else. It is a practice. It is a slow burn. Meditation is a very slow burn. But over time, this is going to become more and more familiar to you, and it's become a lot easier for you to kind of settle in. All right. Christine, oh boy, a lot harder than it sounds. My mind wanders. So yeah, and this is just back when I first started, I asked this question, and this was the answer I got from very, very smart teacher, and now I am passing it on to you. I said, hey, I feel like my mind's busier when I meditate. Right? I thought the point was for it to not be that. And they said, you're just realizing how your mind is all day long. And I was like, oh, I hadn't really thought of it like that. We're so used to letting our mind think about 6 trillion things that when we actually try to not do that, it's very obvious that it wants to do that. So if your mind did wander a lot, welcome to the club. Right? This is kind of how it goes. It doesn't mean sometimes people are like, well, I guess I can't meditate. Oh, well, right? No. The goal of meditation is not to never get distracted. That is never the goal. The goal is to start to become a super adept at noticing when you are drifting, so you can bring your attention back to what you want to focus on. Cool? Okay. So that is breathing meditation. If you have any questions on that, feel free to ask. I'm going to move on to our topic. Excuse me. And our topic today is about... Bix, that's good. I'm glad, Christine. Thanks. Our topic for today... Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. Weird turn of phrase. Is identifying what it means to know something. It's kind of a weird topic, right? But it's actually a pretty big one in meditation, and honestly, it's a big one in our life. So hopefully you find it interesting. It's something I've been thinking about a lot recently. So this word, know, is kind of important in our life, right? What does it mean? If you're like, I know, what does that mean? I mean, it could be as I've heard that before. You shouldn't eat that. I know. Right? Even just like hearing things a lot, right? There's a state of knowing. At least we feel there's a state of knowing this thing, right? Maybe a deeper dive into it, better word would be understood. If you know something, then you understand it. So what does that mean? All right. Think about driving a car. I think this is a pretty interesting example. If you if you don't drive, I'm sorry, this is not a good example for you. But if you do drive, if I were to ask you, hey, how do I drive a car? You could tell me, right? You'd be like, first you'd be like, well, oh boy, first time, huh? And then you'd say, okay, the most important thing is the brake. Here's the brake pedal. And you'd be like, the second most important thing is this. Maybe the seatbelt's probably most important. Then the brake, and then the gas, right? Anyway, it doesn't matter. You would explain to me in detail how to drive a car. Why? Because intellectually, you understand how to drive a car. You've been doing it for quite some time. Your mind is pretty familiar with it, right? At first, you're like, where the heck's that brake pedal? But now, you know where it is, right? Instinctively. So intellectually, you can explain to me how to drive a car, even if I don't know how. Now, what if I were to ask you, what does driving feel like? Bizarre question, right? What does driving feel like? I don't know. Like, you'd have to think about it, right? It's a little bit of a more kind of out there question, right? But you know what driving feels like. It's hard for you to put it into words, but you know what it feels like, right? When I ask you that question, you can take yourself there. You're like, oh, yeah, like it's like you're driving. You know what driving feels like. So intellectually, you know how to drive the car, and you know what driving feels like. So you can say that you have an intellectual and experiential understanding of driving a car. And exhibit A, you're fantastic at it, right? You don't have to think, where's the brake pedal anymore, right? It's such a part of you. It's such a part of your mind, putting on the blinker, right? All these things, that it starts to flow super like easily to you, right? And this is a kind of like good start in defining this idea of knowing, right? Knowing includes intellectual and experiential understanding. It is possible for us to have an intellectual understanding without an experiential one. For example, you shouldn't eat pizza all the time. That's what people tell me. So good. And I go, I know. You know how many times I've said that? I know. Intellectually, I know that I shouldn't eat pizza all the time, right? But experientially, it's not like a core belief of mine, right? Not that I don't believe that it's healthy to not eat pizza all the time, but that my mind doesn't naturally go there, right? Going back to the car example, like you don't have to think about what driving feels like. You just do it, right? And that's why it's so hard to build new routines, because we have a way and we're super kind of set in that way, and then we try to disrupt it. And it takes time, it takes patience, it takes practice, right? And so that could be an example of an intellectual understanding. I know I shouldn't eat pizza all the time, but I lack the experiential understanding. And so what happens? Sometimes I'm like, I'm not going to eat pizza. I shouldn't. Other times I'm like, I don't even think about it. Right? So it's not like this kind of eternal flame in my mind, right? So this is the core of this idea of knowing, right? Now, another way of thinking about knowing is like it's ultra familiarity, right? Something that you know, it's so ingrained in you that what? You don't have to really, it just is, right? Now, does that mean that if something is known, that it is true, that it is reality? interesting question, right? Like you can become so familiar with something that isn't factually true, but it is, like, in your mind it is. And so knowing something is a really delicate and powerful thing for us because it creates our reality, right? If we know something to the level that I was kind of talking about before, it is ingrained in us. It's very hard for us to think not that, which can be good and can be bad, right? If I, knew deep down 100% that I need to get 8 hours of sleep every night and I would never waver, well, it'd probably be pretty good, pretty healthy, right? But if I know that this should be like this way or something like that, it's kind of subjective, right? So the idea of knowing doesn't necessarily mean that it's objectively true, but it feels objectively true to you, right? A cool example of this that we actually were talking about in our last class was this idea of procrastinating. And when we procrastinate, the underlying message, what we're saying to ourselves is, I'll do it tomorrow. I know this is important, but I'll do it tomorrow. I know. Right? Intellectually, I know. I'll do it tomorrow. And implied there is this implication that I'll be able to do it tomorrow, right? If we put something off until tomorrow, the plan is that we're going to be around tomorrow to do it. Now, it feels like we know that we will be around tomorrow. And all the statistics, very high chance, but we don't know for certain. And so this is a interesting thing because we all kind of experience this where, like, we assume, we think we know that we'll be around tomorrow to do this thing we're putting off, but really, we see it all the time in the news, things are very unpredictable. We can't say with 100% certainty. And so the only, reality is that we don't know, which is kind of a weird thing because in our society, not knowing is viewed as bad. Generally, right? And this is kind of where I was. I've been thinking about what I want to do with, my career stuff, and a lot of people, they ask me, well, what do you want your life to be like? And I always say, I don't know. And for a long time, I felt that's because I don't have ambition or something like that. But I really thought about it, and maybe that is kind of a realistic thing to not know, right? My interests are constantly changing, right? The things that I was interested in when I was 18 are not the things I'm interested in now at 39, right? And so not knowing is like this truth almost. It's kind of an interesting thing to think about, right? So the next time maybe you're like, I don't know. Think about it, is that actually the way things are? And that is a great segue into what we're kind of talking about here. Because the core of knowing is something called wisdom. And when I say something called, in meditation land, that's what it's called. And wisdom in meditation land, strange place, is, you can define it as knowing the way things are versus the way that they appear to be. Knowing, understanding the way things are, and again, knowing intellectually and experientially, knowing, full knowing, the way things are, as opposed to the way that they appear to be. If you go outside and you look around, that's me looking outside, it appears that the earth does not rotate. I mean, like, just if we go outside for a brief moment and just do a quick glance, we're like, nothing's moving, right? But we know that that's not true, right? And so the appearance is a little deceptive, right? Maybe you love traveling. A lot of people do. And you love traveling, right? It's like, that's what I want to do. If I had infinite time and money, that's what I would do. It appears that traveling brings you happiness, right? You go away on vacation, you go see a new place, you're happy, this and that, right? Is that the way things are, or the way that they appear to be? Have you ever been unhappy traveling? I have. Right? It's not all roses, like, if traveling equaled happiness, then whenever you traveled, you'd be happy. But we really can't say that, right? There are plenty of examples where traveling is annoying, right? To be frank. And so the way things are different than the way they appear to be. So if traveling doesn't bring us happiness, well, then what's going on here? Because I generally am happy when I travel. Your mind, its state, your mind dictates your experience in the activity, right? So if you have a happy mind traveling, you're going to have a happy time traveling, right? If you love hanging out with your friends, and you have a happy mind going in there, you're going to have a great time. But we've all had those moments where we're hanging out with those same people, our best friends, and we're just not feeling so great, like we're a little down, and the vibes are different, right? It's not the same because your mind dictates your experience, right? And since your mind is so strong and it's such a huge part of your experience, your reality, right? You can see how knowing, this idea of believing, knowing, plays a huge role into the things that we do, the paths that we take, the behaviors that we gravitate towards. Ultimately, I have been thinking about knowing as investigating, a thorough investigation. Right? So in meditation land again, welcome back. There's meditation and contemplation. They're the same thing, but they're called different things. Generally, contemplation is when we are focusing single-pointedly on an idea or concept. We're investigating it, right? Somebody cuts you off on the highway, and we're like, what a jerk. That guy doesn't care about anyone but himself. Jerk. That's the way it appears, right? Our mind goes there very naturally. Without investigation, that guy's a jerk. Straight up, guy's a jerk. The flip side is if we investigate it, truly investigate it, think, we'll start to realize that there's some, chips in that theory. It's a terrible phrase. I don't know. It might not be that way, right? Maybe they were racing to go to the hospital to see somebody. Maybe a spider dropped onto them and they just freaked out, right? We've all cut somebody off, right? We're not jerks. And so when you start to investigate things, the way things appear and the way things are don't always match up. And this is the basis of knowing. Right? You can't know without investigating. You can maybe intellectually know. You hear somebody say something, But experientially, you can't really know unless you investigate. So this idea of knowing, wisdom, is all about investigating with your mind and a giant magnifying glass and a cool Sherlock Holmes hat. No, not necessary. Rosa, hello. How you doing? You're repairing your house? Well, I know how that goes. Hope yours is going more smoothly than mine. Okay, so this is where I am going to stop for today. Wendy, thank you. This is a little bit of a kind of like nebulous thing, I know, to think about, but I think it's pretty important, right? This idea of, is something that I'm perceiving the way it is 100% known, or is it just my reality, right? Can I crack that reality a little bit? Cool. So to end today, I'm going to do a little meditation. Oh, Christine, thank you. I'm so glad. We're going to do another little meditation. It's going to be pretty similar to what we did before, but we're going to pay attention to this idea of knowing, this idea of wisdom, the way things are versus the way they appear to be. We're going to investigate. So get on your hats and magnifying glasses. There had to be a better tool than that. All right, enough of that nonsense. Okay, so maybe you thought that chair you were in last time when you meditated was going to be really comfortable, and then you're like, well, I was not comfortable. Go ahead and change. Doesn't matter. Do whatever you want. I've been talking a long time. Maybe I've drained your energy. You want to go lay down? Go lay down. After I really appreciate the idea of investigating the way things are to be. Very insightful. Oh, thank you. That's very kind. Yeah, it's weird because it's not like some revolutionary idea, right? Like that's the beauty of meditation is we all like kind of intellectually know these things, right? But can we get to the point where we start to investigate things without so much effort? Right now, we look at how much effort that we have to use to investigate. We're doing a whole meditation on it, right? But maybe the next time that somebody cuts you off, if you're like really, this is really like ingrained in you, before you be like, there's a jerk, they're a jerk, you start to think about those other perspectives, the other possibilities. And honestly, the outcome is, I don't know. That is a beautiful phrase, I don't know, right? It's an acknowledgement of uncertainty, the nature of uncertainty, and not combating it, right? Kind of cool. Okay. Let's meditate. So you can go ahead and close your eyes. We're just going to do another short meditation to relax and investigate. Okay. Take a moment and check in with yourself. How are you feeling? What is your mind up to? We're not comparing it to before. Before is done. Just now. How are you feeling right now? We now can start to see why this step is so important. It is teaching you to investigate, to develop an interest in your own mind. What if you could turn that interest into fascination? So, having checked in, you can make a little promise to yourself to focus single pointedly on your breath and add on the promise of investigating what breathing feels like. That's your intention. Just set it in your mind. Let it sit. Let it settle. And with that intention set, once again turn your attention single pointedly, exclusively to your own breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Very gently, very naturally. Whenever you notice that your attention has drifted, maybe you're thinking about something you have to do later, something that was discussed earlier, we can just say not right now to those thoughts. Place them beside you. Imagine you're placing those thoughts beside you. And then turn your attention back to your breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Gently, naturally. Maybe your attention is drifting a bit again. We might start to think, well, I'm no good at this. I can't meditate. That's how it appears. Without investigation, that becomes your reality. But what if you investigate? Why does your mind drift? Have you ever been focused on something? Of course you have. It's in you, you're capable. You've proven that you can do this elsewhere. So why is it challenging here to concentrate? Maybe it's just because it's new. And when something is unfamiliar to you, it requires a lot of effort. That is a very different outlook on your mind drifting. Which one of those is the way things are? And which one of them is the way things appear? breathing in, breathing out. Very gently, very naturally. For the last few moments, I'd like you to just breathe and think about what breathing feels like. You know how to do it. But what does breathing feel like? Is it energizing? Tiring? Does your body move? Or are you perfectly still? What does breathing feel like? Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. Does meditation help surgeries getting done at the hospital? Meditation does not help the surgery get done, but what meditation does is it's a really good tool for dealing with the kind of mental aspect of surgery, right? I can't do the things I want to do. That's a mental stressor on us. And so doing what we just did, either to relax or to contemplate and think about it, can be really helpful. Cool. Okay, so that's our class for today. Hopefully you found it to be enjoyable or thought-provoking or something positive. If you did, come on back. We'll be here next week. And I'll see you then, and we'll talk about something else. I don't know what we'll talk about, but I have a sneaky suspicion it'll be about meditation. Right? And if you are interested in pursuing meditation in a more kind of like private instruction fashion, I do offer that. I do it over Zoom. It's very laid back. If that's interesting to you, you can email me and we'll find a time that will work. So I'm going to give you my email now. It is keith@meditationbreaks.com. Spelling. Hope that's good. Thank you guys for being here. That's my email. Let me know if anything comes up when you're meditating on your own. And a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel or did while during this live stream. It really means a lot to me, and you being here means a lot to me. I love teaching, and I couldn't do that without you. So thank you. Big thank you to all of the people who are first timers here. This is a really nice place to come and practice. It's pretty low key. So hopefully I'll get to see you guys again. All right. Take care. Go investigate things.